All right, checkarooskies. This is like the third time I've done this video, so but hopefully that means that I've got some good practice in conveying some of the concepts. So shout out to my fellow follically challenged followers. Today I'm covering some basic concepts about mono and stereo. I'm going to talk a little bit about the differences between the tracks. I'm going to talk about the differences in recording mono and stereo. I'm going to talk about the way we hear. And let's begin there. So I'm assuming we've all got two ears. Okay, I hope you've got two ears. So we have two ears and we have two eyes. So let me use the analogy with our eyes. So if you look at an object, you cover up one eye and you cover up another eye, you can look at that object, but all the information that's coming in the left and the right side, it's actually coming from two different perspectives. So there's a lot of the same information that you're seeing, but it's different perspectives. So there are differences between those 2 points of view, and there are similarities. That to me is good stereo. I'm thankful for the fact that we don't have two mouths, because we might have, a few different differences on the left and the right. No, you don't. Yes, you do. If you walk into a closet versus walking out into a big open environment, you can hear those differences if you close your eyes. Your ears give you oral cues as to what type of space it is that you're in. If we're sitting in our living room and we're listening to our stereo, or in our studio, we can hear the fact that there are differences between the left and the right speaker. We can also tell when the sound is coming from a single source, like a dog barking, and that would be mono. Okay, how this relates to audio is, if we flick over into Pro Tools, because that's what I like to use. Here I have some mono pink noise. If you don't know what pink noise sounds like, this is what it sounds like. It's a lovely sound. Wait for it. Okay, that's pink noise. So that's mono pink noise. What does stereo pink noise sound like? Okay, you should be able to hear a difference between those. If you're listening on a mobile phone, you should be ashamed of yourself. Unless that mobile phone is stereo and you're watching the screen tilted on the side, or something that actually gives you a stereo sound, don't listen on a laptop, listen on headphones. You won't hear the differences otherwise. So there will be differences on the left and the right sides. That to me sounds like it's coming from a single sound source. We can actually use a tool to be able to monitor those differences. Okay, so if I listen to the mono side with this stereo tool, which is free by the way, from Flux, it's telling me that it's coming down the middle and that it's mono. Okay, if I flick over to that channel, I'm getting a whole bunch of random noise that is spread everywhere. So there's a lot of stuff that's completely different, and that's ending up in this area here. There's stuff that is kind of similar, and that's ending up here, and then there's stuff that's exactly the same that's ending up straight down the middle. So looking at the track types, so I can tell just by looking at it that this is a mono track because it has a single meter, whereas this has a left and the right, this has a left and the right, and it has a left and the right. So in this case we have a mono sound that is going to a stereo output. So if I pan it over to the left, it will go over to the left speaker. Let me condense that view a bit. And likewise, okay, so, and you can see that it's sending it out there. What if we decided to double this up? Let's do that. We'll double it up. We will create a stereo track and we will dump these onto that directly. We'll piss them off. What does that sound like? Okay, why is that? Well, as I've been talking about, it's the differences that separate the left and the right. Okay, and in this case, because we've copied that same signal, two mono signals that are exactly the same, and they're being sent out to the left and the right. Well, actually, I'll get rid of that. Let's expand the view to really kind of hammer this point home. If you have a look at the top waveform and the bottom waveform of the audio, they do so exactly the same. Whereas this stereo sound is actually all over the place. It's different from the left side to the right side. I mean, look at that. They're completely opposite one another. Okay, so that's how we get what we think is stereo still sounding mono. And so one thing I would also say is that when you have a stereo signal, say on a guitar or a drum kit, if you've got two microphones, they're each giving you a different perspective, just like our eyes give us two different perspectives. Whatever you're recording is the same. You're actually getting some of that in stereo and some of that is going to be in mono. So let's wrap this up. Just like our eyes, our left and our right ears give us different viewpoints. Each viewpoint has differences and common ground. A good stereo signal in music will contain both differences and similarities. A stereo signal with only differences and nothing in common will feel outside of the speakers or unnatural sounding. A stereo signal with only information common to both sides will present as mono. Mono channels have a single meter and a single waveform. Stereo channels have a double meter and a stacked double waveform. The left channel is typically on top. Recordings in stereo, like our vision, need enough common and different information to capture a nice, solid stereo image. And lastly, we learnt that pink noise sounds awesome. I made that last one up. It doesn't. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. You can also join me on the Facebook group, which is SPL Mixing Group. And then I've also got SPL Mixing, both of them on Facebook, but the group itself, it's set up so that you can discuss any concepts that you want to. It doesn't necessarily have to be stuff in this video. The SPL Mixing Facebook page is there to keep you up to date with different videos. As ever, like, subscribe. I'll endeavor to bring you more content soon. And happy mixing.